Fanatec's completely new handbrake looks quite smart, but in some ways it really ain't. The very first thing I had to do to use it was get hold of a Clubsport USB adapter, because the Clubsport Handbrake V2 has no USB port. It must be plugged into either a Fanatec wheelbase or certain Fanatec pedals. If you're on PC and have neither of those because you're using a mixed setup, then it must be plugged into a Fanatec Clubsport adapter in order to connect. There is no direct USB port like there is on a Moser, SimLab, Hoisingveld or Simagic Handbrake, just to name a few. To lack a direct USB connection port in this day and age for something priced at €200 as well is disappointing. I know I'm talking from a PC-centric point of view. If you're on console, half the time you're not going to worry about this, but I'm not wrong. The handbrake was provided by Fanatec for review, but obviously, make no mistake, this is a review, not an ad. Watch the whole video first, but if you do decide to buy, then an affiliate link is provided in the video description below. Using that to travel to Fanatec before you buy helps support me, and thank you for doing so. It's packaged beautifully, I've got to say. The box is lovely and cool. The contents are laid out with some pomp. It looks excellent when it's put together. It's predominantly made of a mix of cast and CNC'd aluminium and steel, with a load cell sensor at the heart of it, featuring a handle that can be swapped around and orientated fairly easily in either an upright or horizontal position, with 3 different angle positions. When you do change the lever position, it's super important that you don't go nuts tightening this nut. It appears to be fragile, judging by the multitude of posts reporting snapped bolts, so take it easy. Another thing to know is that the mounting points are too far apart to be accommodated by many accessory mounting plates you might find on various rigs and cockpits today. If you're planning to mount this to a standard shifter plate, check first. It seems that Fanatec expect you to mount the handbrake either onto the side of a Clubsport shifter, like so, or to an aluminium profile rig, like so. Shifter mount plates appear to be a secondary priority. Adjustment options initially appear to be broad, but I have to say they didn't appear to have much impact. Not for me. Regardless of whether it was set to maximum or minimum stiffness, preload or travel, it felt pretty much the same throughout. And that is to mean very stiff and direct. I have my suspicions that the polybush inside my handbrake may actually be accidentally too hard, negating the intentions of the adjustments. I predict that future batches will have a softer bush fitted, and these adjustments may actually mean something. I'll post an update in the pinned comment below if confirmed, because if it's a manufacturing defect, you're going to want to know about that as well. Thankfully, at least it's not the opposite problem where all settings are too soft, because personally I would want it set up like this. I just found it odd how little impact the adjustments made. I'm just going to get directly to the point. If you're on console, then there's a good chance that you're on a Fanatec setup, and if so, this may be your best or only option of handbrake. It works great, and it's mostly made of metal with a comfy rubber handle. It's not that it feels cheap, it doesn't, but €200 still feels like too much for what it is. It really does, but at least you won't have to add the extra cost of a Clubsport adapter like I did just to use a handbrake on a mixed, non-Fanatec PC setup. If you have no choice but this, then at least it should keep quiet and work, which wasn't always a given with the old V1 handbrake. It had a mediocre reputation. If you're on PC, however, then there is no strong reason to choose this handbrake unless you just love the way it looks above the other options. And preferring it for its looks is just as good a reason as any other, so be it. If you're using a Fanatec base or just certain Fanatec pedals, then you'll be able to plug this in directly and you won't need that Clubsport adapter dongle that I had to get. But the lack of direct USB connectivity just rubbed me the wrong way because I was never expecting it. It's a real outlier at this price point in this day and age. Moser's HBP handbrake, for example, is around half the price and has USB connectivity. It doesn't look as good, but it's much better value for money and is still plenty adjustable. SimLab's XB1 handbrake is a touch costlier than Fanatec's handbrake, but is just as appealing in style, if not more, and it has USB connectivity. Simagic 2 have a handbrake in the mix around the same cost as that, with direct USB connectivity. That lack of open USB connectivity on a Clubsport level Fanatec product is baffling because it just narrows down the appeal of a product for no good reason, and is probably the single most important thing to know if you're considering buying this handbrake beyond the price. I do get the impression that Fanatec was so concerned with improving upon the V1 handbrake that they kind of forgot to make sure it stood up to the competition today. And that's it. Nice and short, but that's how it goes sometimes. I hope this was informative and entertaining. Cheers again.